Last week, I was ready to quit, and that put me in the position to do some soul searching and really think about why I'm doing this and if I want to continue to do this. And I got some good insight as to what was going wrong, and something pretty awesome happened right after the podcast dropped. This is the Chronicles of Shred. Welcome to episode 19. It's Wednesday morning, and it's about maybe 3 hours before the podcast is set to go live. I shot an episode yesterday, and I did a very long outline with all of the nuances of all the things that I thought I had discovered, and I edited it, and I had hours into it, and I was watching it back, and I still had more editing to do, and it sucked. It was way too talky, way too repetitive. It got to the point where I was like, man, this dude needs to shut up, and it's me. Like, I need to shut up. So here's what I learned from that and from everything that I've been thinking about this week is that I am very much an overthinker, and I am very much an over-explainer, and I make things too hard. I make things too complicated. You know, I went to an Uli John Roth concert this weekend, and it was awesome. And, you know, it's one of the things I love about being in Ohio. It's just the music scene is so much better than it was in Virginia. Like, Uli John Roth is amazing, but he's a little bit obscure. The thing almost sold out. It was a big show. He's great, but I'm a guitar player, and his name is not a name that jumps to my mind immediately. And so I'm really glad I went because there was a ton of people there, and it really got me thinking about Ohio again. And I remembered how when I first got here, I was so happy, man. Like, it was a big production to sell the house and get it all together, and so stressful. And so when I was here, and it was done, and we were unpacked, this wave of relief just rolled over me. And for like the first month I was here, I was just so happy and so relaxed. And nothing has really changed since then except my mindset. And so I really started thinking about what happened to take me from this chill, happy, completely content state to the point where I'm pulling my hair out and I'm ready to give up on everything. And I realized it's my overthinking. It's my approach. I take everything and I try to schedule it. And I went back and I listened to my old podcasts about discipline, just showing up. And I realized that that is philosophically accurate and might work for some people, and it used to work for me, but it doesn't anymore. And so waking up every morning with a full agenda of things I have to do sucked the fun, sucked the life, sucked the joy out of everything that I was doing. And so I'm completely rethinking it. I find that if I sit down the night before and program the day ahead, I am much more likely to accomplish the things that I set for myself to accomplish. It reflects my priorities much better rather than having a gym block, a vocal block, a guitar block, and just showing up and mindlessly going through the motions. It shuts me down. It turns me into a zombie. And then when it's not successful and it's not working, I hate it. There's no passion, there's no joy, there's no creativity. It's just showing up and checking the boxes. You know, when I hit the point where I was not having success with it, it became utterly overwhelming. I had compounded that by reaching out to a cover band, and now my original band has shows, and I'm basically going to be driving to Virginia every 2 weeks throughout the summer. I've been in that band 10 years. We played in Virginia 4 times in 10 years. And now in June and July, we have 3, maybe 4 shows in Virginia, which is an 8.5-hour drive for me now. So awesome. Then we had the complicated tax situation, and all of that's resolved. I learned something else about Virginia, and that is they have vehicle property taxes, which is awesome, right? If you buy a car, you get to pay taxes on it like a house every year. They assess the value and charge you tax for owning that car. Well, fun fact, if you move out of the state and they know you moved out of the state, you still have to send them a copy of the new state's registration or they charge you tax anyway. So I moved almost a year ago, got a tax bill anyway. Like, who knew, right? They mailed it to my correct address in Ohio, but I still have to prove to them that I moved. So that's awesome. But I got that all worked out. But I realized that I was taking this awesome creative opportunity and turning it into a terrible job with a cruel boss. Because another thing that I learned about myself is I don't reward myself for much of anything. I don't celebrate my wins. And I really am hard on myself about my losses. Perfection is expected and anything less is punished, and that is a tough philosophy to work with. So here's what I decided to do about all of this. Number one, I've taken all the pressure points away because I will very much take a success and turn it into a burden by adding to it. So if I have a really great guitar practice, I'm like, okay, now I'm ready to record an instrumental. Well, no, I just had a couple of good days. If I have a good vocal day, I'm like, okay, it's time to start cramming songs to get ready to be on stage by summer. I turn a little bit of a win into a deadline and into pressure. And so I'm taking all that out. And I had said that I'm going to release a single by May 1st. Nope. I had said that I plan to be doing live acoustic shows by the middle of summer. Nope. And I had said that I wanted to get out there and start playing shows by the end of the year. Nope. I'm not worried about this. I'm not turning this into a pressure cooker. I've rearranged my schedule because I realized that part of the reason I was having vocal problems is I'm kind of congested in the mornings. Trying to have a vocal practice at 9 a.m. works against me. So I flipped the whole script upside down, and now I'm doing my creative stuff in the morning, and then I'll do vocals and guitar in the afternoon. Secondly, if I have something that I need to do that's going to take more time than the assigned block, then it just goes on a list. There's no more assigned blocks. I had a project come up and I needed to spend time on it, and my mind immediately goes to, but that's going to interfere with this and that's going to interfere with that. But that's all stuff I made up. So I get locked in rigidly to this schedule and I'm inflexible. So I have to introduce flexibility without going off the rails. So I have to decide what is a priority and realize that I have finite capacity for the day. And that's why I do the night session where I figure out what I'm going to do the next day. Because sometimes I have to do life stuff. But by having this very rigid schedule, I would kind of get into this cycle of, like, if I overslept a little bit for the gym, then I'm like, oh, I blew it. I'm not going to the gym. And that would kind of throw my whole day off, and then I would kind of half-ass everything. So if I have a list, then it's like, okay, well, when I wake up, I'm going to go to the gym. So I don't have to get up at 4 a.m., and I don't have to deprive myself of sleep, and I don't have to let discipline destroy the happiness and the joy in everyday life. And it seems to be working. I kind of found my happy place again. I was able to just stop everything and kind of focus on a little bit of gratitude, honestly. And I know people talk about gratitude like it's a magic formula and fixes all your problems. But the fact of the matter is, I have a lot to be happy about. Nothing's gone bad. And I have, in that time frame, built this studio with gear that I never thought I would have. I have more guitars than I've ever owned in my life, and they're all awesome. And I have, I would dare say, a world-class recording studio. Even right there, I feel my mind try to slap me around a little bit and say, yeah, but you're not using it. And it's true. I'm not using it to its full extent, but I have it. And I'm happy about having it, and I will use it. That little voice in my head is kind of mean. So I feel like that's a big thing for me, to remember that I'm happy and that life is good and that these are things that I want to do and that I'm passionate about. And I think part of this for me is monitoring that. Like, okay, I'm upset. Why am I upset? Because it's ridiculous that I could be in the situation that I'm in and somehow find a way to be unhappy in it. And I'm making progress because I want to, not because I'm under the gun and under some deadline and pressuring myself into it. Because you really can't do this without joy. I mean, to really create, there's a flow state that you get into, and if you're all uptight and wound up, you're just not going to get there. And I got an opportunity to work on some of that and to use some of this studio, and it came from kind of an unlikely source. After the podcast aired, I got a message on a page that I don't really use very much, and it was just kind of a coincidence that I happened to see the notification. A guy had messaged me about a collaboration. And he asked if I would be willing to just give him some ideas for a second guitar track. And his idea was that he wanted like a Slash and Izzy Stradlin vibe. And he sent a video of somebody playing Slash's parts and Izzy's parts and how they differed, but how they worked together. And the end of his message really kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And it said, maybe you can recapture your mojo by helping a stranger like me. What do you say? More wallowing or more progress? My first read of that, I was like, wallowing? Like, I'm not wallowing. I'm just talking, right? Like, I'm not having a pity party. I'm just in a weird place, right? It was like a slap in the face, It was very unsympathetic to me, and it really rubbed me the wrong way. And my initial reaction after the first read was like, man, fuck you. Like, I'm not going to help you. You come at me like that? No way. But I didn't respond, and I thought about it for a minute, and I'm like, maybe it could be fun. Like, maybe it'll give me a chance to get into my gear and figure some things out and just use it, right? Because I do have this amazing studio, but I have not done much with it. I reached back out to him and I said, okay, well, why don't you send it and I'll give it a listen. He's like, cool, send me your Venmo. I want to pay you for this. I really didn't know how it was going to turn out. So I said, why don't you send me the track? I'll send you some ideas. And then if you like them, I'll send you the Venmo and you can give me what it's worth to you. So he sent the track and he listened to it. And it was kind of this sleazy, bluesy rock song. And so I immediately understood why he was thinking Slash and Izzy. And it's a little out of my wheelhouse. But I grabbed a guitar and I kind of dinked around with it a little bit. And I was like, okay, I got an idea of what's going on here. Let me load it into the DAW and work on it, right? So I load it up and I start playing around with it. There's a couple things I'm not totally sure what's going on, but I remember that I'm not looking to exactly duplicate what he's doing. I'm trying to complement it. So I did like the intro, first verse, first chorus, sent it to him. He's like, yeah, I like the way this is going. And I went back to it Monday morning, first thing. You know, like I got out the Slutty Pumpkin and I hadn't really got to play with the pumpkin very much. And I dialed up a good tone and I put a little post-processing on it. And I was having fun by the end, right? Like I was like, okay, I got this. Like this sounds pretty good. Like I'm having a good time. I'm enjoying using this gear and getting a good result with it. And I played through the whole track and I listened back and I was like, this is not bad. Like this has gone pretty well. So I finished it up and sent him just my guitar track. And I didn't hear from him for a minute. He messaged back and was like, sounds great. I love what you did. It's giving me a lot of ideas. What's your Venmo? And that was kind of a pinch point for me because it's hard to ask for the money, right? And he was asking me for the ability to send me money, but it's still hard to ask for the money. Again, I had to kind of push past myself and say, okay, man, I said I would. Here's my Venmo. I appreciate it. You were right. This was good for me to bust out of the rut that I was in and do something cool. Thanks. And again, he didn't answer for a while. And then I got a Venmo notification. And I didn't even look because I'm thinking to myself, if he sent me a few bucks, great. I mean, it was fun. It was worthwhile. I was actually out doing yard work when he sent it. I was cutting the grass, and we got a pretty big yard out here, so it was a minute before I looked at it. I was shocked at what he sent. I'm not going to go into round figures, but it was well more than I was expecting. It was really cool. And it gave me some hope that there is potential in this. And so I'm continuing. Last week I was ready to quit. This week I am ready to continue with hope. And that's the most important thing, that this is not just labor in vain and not just struggle in vain, but this is a joyous journey towards the development of my passion. And that just reminded me that there is a silver lining and that there is potential in what I'm doing to make a living at it. And that was very helpful. So even though I was a little put off by the approach, ultimately, I'm grateful that guy reached out and that we did what we did, and it was good, and it was good for me. It kind of gave me a reset. It gave me the ability to stop and look at what I'm doing and realize that I've got to monitor my state of mind. And if I'm getting off into the weeds and getting overburdened and heading back into burnout, then I need to full stop. There's no pressure for this. There's nobody cracking the whip over me. I don't owe anybody anything. I don't work for anybody. This is my life. This is not just my project, but my life. And my life is going to be good as I can make it. I can do this. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to enjoy the journey. Everything that I've said in the previous episodes is all true if you're trying to build discipline. But the fact of the matter is, you have to develop a system that is going to work for you. And if it's too rigid, and it's too punishment-oriented, then you got to modify it. And so I've modified it, and I'm back in the game, and I'm ready to keep on going. If you're enjoying this journey, if you're getting anything out of it, I encourage you to hit that subscribe button and follow along. Most podcasts are done within 3 episodes, and of those that make it, 90% of those are over at 7 episodes. I'm sitting here at episode 19, and I don't plan on stopping. So if you're along for the ride with me, I appreciate you. Thanks for riding along. This is the Chronicles of Shred.